Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. This is Joyce from Joyce Black Books, and tonight I am coming to you about hooks, book hooks. The main reason you wrote your book. Most people know um, books by the title, and that's why hooks are so important. If you are writing fiction, I did a talk the other day, 8 points for a fiction book, something like that. And hooks was one of the points I talked about. And when you're writing a book, sometimes it takes you a while to actually think about the correct hook for your book because depending on the information you put in your book and how you decide to end your book, the title you originally thought of could change. And it could, be something you hadn't expected it to be. So, for an example, well-known fiction books like The Hunger Games. And when you first hear about it, and then you see them out in a stadium, it's like, what is this about? Hunger Games, but it makes sense once I read the book. But once you read the book, and then if you see the movie, Hunger Games makes much sense because it was a game to the people in charge, but it was life or death for the people involved. So, Hunger Games was accurate. The Girl on the Train. And Hunger Games was by Suzanne Collins. Girl on the Train, Paula Hawkins. Again, the name is so important when you're naming a book. Gone Girl, that's by Gillian Flynn. That was also a book that became a movie. So when you hear a hook that's really catchy, it can make you wonder, what is this about? And that curiosity, most of the time, makes people want to buy the book. So if it's a mystery or a thriller, you can begin with a tense situation, like the bloodstains on the carpet were the only clues left behind. The detective knew this wasn't just another case. That's like a mystery. That's the hook that's in the book. And it could be the bloodstain, whatever. I'm not sure of how you would title your book, but it really depends on how you want to entice your audience or give them a little clue or something to wonder about, like fantasy, sci-fi fantasy. A lot of times that's futuristic, or it could be something that's, dragons and prehistoric things. It could be a lot of different things, but fantasy, a lot of books have been written lately with dragons, like Game of Thrones, okay? All the seasons that may have started with one book and then they went backwards. And now there's another book that's out. Well, the book was out, but now they're starting to explore the other part of Game of Thrones. So the hook is very important because even with the thrones, they talked about the different kingdoms. So fantasy, again, it could be dragons, giants, and that's also sci-fi. It's futuristic. It could be alien ships, something like that. Can't remember of the movie. Alien, hello. Alien. Alien was a movie that it just really it was good and it wasn't real, but it still scared you. Things to think about when you're thinking of a hook. Popular hooks. 10 ways, no, one way, well, maybe 10 ways to lose 10 pounds in a month, or 5 foods you should never eat. So of course, you're wondering, what foods should I never eat? And so you buy the book. You could start in the middle, which is medias res, and just start in the middle of the action. Or you can pose a question. It makes the reader, curious. Like, how do I get back home? That could be the title. And so you wonder, where is this person, and why don't they know how to get home? You know, it, there's so many books that have catchy titles and hooks that make you want to read them. And sometimes it could just be a title, but the hook could be the question under the title. And the author makes sure to put little bits and pieces throughout the book to keep you interested, like giving you breadcrumbs. You can introduce conflict in a book and hint at it with challenges to come, like they began the school year each time this way, and then it could start off, I mean, it can end with like this this group defeated this group this year. And it's just, you want to keep your reader interested when you're thinking of a hook for your book. My book was Trapped in Deception. I have it here somewhere. I moved it. But my fiction book, Trapped in Deception, everyone's like, "What? Was somebody trapped?" I'm like, "Well, she was trapped in deception because of people she met and they deceived her. She thought one thing, but they had other motives." So, trapped in deception. It's important when you're writing, when you're thinking about a book, don't rush to do the title, because the title is very important for the hook. And sometimes people put the hook in the title. Most of the time, the title of the book includes the main reason you're writing the book. Even with autobiographies, if this person was a sports, person, or it could be someone, ballet dancer, they normally put their purpose for the book in the title, which is considered the hook, the main reason you're writing the book. You can also show the action in the book with the hook without actually mentioning it right away. I'm trying to think. I used to read all of Stephen King's books. I loved his books because they were different. They made you think. He would introduce characters from other books. And just doing that, it kept me, because I'm curious when I'm reading. I want to go to the end, but of course I'm not. So I'm going to just read it really, consistently until I finish. But titles are so important. Hooks, without a hook, no one would buy your book. You have to title it appropriately. And the hook, like I said, could be the subtitle, or it could be mentioned in the description somehow. Um, like fantasy, the dragon's roar echoed through the valley, and young Aelin knew it was her call to tame the beast. You know, things like that. And it could be, taming the dragon. But without that title and that hook, you wonder, what dragon, who's going to tame it? And maybe they give you a little clue, but then why was she going to tame the dragon? Why was she called to do that? So those questions roll around when you're looking at the books and you look at titles and you read the description on the back of the book and you wonder, should I get this? But if they give you enough information because of the hook, that's what reels you in. You can always go through the different things included in the book, but the hook, without that, it's not going to really make sense for the reader. So when you sit down to begin your book, or when you're putting together your chapters and your outlines, you have to, or you should, I'd say you should, position the hook in a way that you keep the reader wanting to know more and more until finally it's revealed the reason of the book. If you give it away in chapter one, there's no purpose for them to continue the book. So it's learning how to distribute the information, excuse me, distribute the information well enough so that the reader stays interested in continuing to read the book. And you can ask for comments, before you actually title your book. You can do a poll and ask people that you trust, hey, is this a good title? I'm writing about whatever you're writing about, and have them say, I think that's good, but I would add maybe this, or I would think of, changing the title to something else. And normally people, other people's ideas help because we may think only one way, but with the help of a few other opinions, you may find the perfect title that fits your book. But again, this should be from someone that you trust. Excuse me, my voice. Someone that you trust, someone that reads and understands the importance of a title. And I mean, you could put it out there in a reading group and ask, hey, is this a good title for this book? And you could just give them a few little points that you're going to cover, or just a small description of, what you're writing about, just to get their opinion on the hook, because that is the most important part of the book is the hook, because without the hook, no one would be, well, some people may be interested, but not many would be interested in purchasing it without the proper hook. So I just wanted to talk to you guys tonight a little bit about the hook of a book and why it's so important. You know, just like Christine, Stephen King's book, Christine. I was like, Christine, and it was a car on the front. What's important about a car named Christine? But once I read it, again, another one was Pet Cemetery. That was a great book. I read so many, The Stand, The Shining. It was so many books that just two words in the title. But because of that, I would think like, and I'd read the description, grab the book. And I have never read a bad book by Stephen King. That's just, I'm partial. I've I've read most of his books, and he's mastered hooks. And there are so many people writing, and the hooks are the reason they continue, because if they had good success writing that first book with the proper hook, then they say, okay, I'm going to write another book. And they think about the hook before they actually start or finish the book. Before they finish and publish, the hook has to be perfect. So just wanted to give you ideas, and I wish you guys well on your writing journey. Sorry about my voice. I think it's late, so it's starting to sound like this. But have a great night, everyone. And I'll bring more information to you another time. But have a great evening, okay? And please, okay, I forgot. Please subscribe and leave me a comment if you want to hear about something else besides hooks for of a book. Um, and turn on notifications. So when I do come on, you guys can leave comments for me. Okay. I will see you guys another time. Have a great evening. Goodbye.